Baby girl, is we fucking or not? I want to talk to y'all real quick about something, because I want y'all to understand the direct approach in a country like the Philippines. Now, first things first, the good doc is no dating coach, ladies and gentlemen. I've been out the game for quite some time. But even common sense will tell you that, certain approaches with certain women in certain countries just isn't going to bode well. Now, if you were to approach said woman and say certain things like that, you are likely to get one of two responses. Number one, no. How dare you talk to me? You're so bastos, which means you're rude, you're inconsiderate, you're inappropriate, you're like all the other foreigners, or you're just trying to fuck, and this, that, and the other. That's the kind of reaction you can expect to get from the majority of women. But on the rare occasion that she's down, she could say, well, how much are you going to pay me? You see, the direct approach can always seem to hit in different ways depending on how you utilize the direct approach. Now, a lot of foreigners will tell you in certain videos, I've heard this before, and I'm sure you guys have heard it too, that being direct is the only way to go about it, right? And to an extent, I do agree. I mean, you don't need to beat around the bush. You don't need to have this convoluted plan in order to get to exactly what it is you're trying to get to. There's nothing wrong with getting straight to the point. I do believe, however, there are better ways to go about it. I honestly believe that if you were to invite a young lady back to your place, wherever that place may be, your hotel, your Airbnb, wherever you're staying at the moment, I think it is universally known. Now, some girls may play stupid, but let's be real. It's universally known that if a guy and or a young lady invites you back to their place, chances are this is a unspoken agreement that there's a high percentage chance. I mean, there should be no room for error with this one, but there's at least a high percentage chance that you're likely to get you some. So the invite back to your hotel, your spot, is a clear indicator to that young lady that you are looking to have a little bit of fun. Now, if she says, oh, can my friend come with us, then she's probably not comfortable being alone with you, which means there's a high percentage chance not gonna pop, right? You just might as well let it go, wait till baby girl feels comfortable, or wait for her to invite herself to hang out with you again and see where it goes from there. But the clear, let's get to the point, are you trying to smash or not approach, which I've heard a lot of guys say is okay to use, which is weird to me. I found it to be too aggressive, right? There's no room for error with it. There's no coming back from it when you say it. The only time that I would ever recommend a guy say that is if you genuinely don't care what the result's gonna be, right? The only time that I would ever recommend it is when it's your Hail Mary. I don't know what it is that has brought you to this point of the conversation with the young lady you're talking to, but the only time I would say that is if you genuinely don't care whether you get some or you don't get none. You know what I'm saying? Whether you get some or you don't get none. Because at that point, it's clear to you and to whoever you're talking to that the conversation has come to a point where you're kind of dead at it, or it's dead, or it's dry, and you're not feeling it, but you still want to see why that thing hit right. You still want to explore a little bit more, but, you know, we're going to use our mouths in different ways type shit as opposed to having conversation. You still want to see how that thing hit like, because I'm going to tell you the truth. A lot of guys find that their sexual chemistry with a particular young lady is a lot more compatible or a lot more on point than the actual conversation they have. So sometimes you do have women in your life and vice versa that you only meet up to skeet up, I guess. I mean, that's really the only way to put it. But I've had guys tell me, Doc, there's nothing wrong with the direct approach. But I find there's some flaws in it if you're not necessarily trying to, there's flaws in it only if you don't care what the final results will be. Like I said, if you genuinely don't care whether you get some or you get none, then you can say whatever you want to. But understand, when you do that, I don't care what part of the world you're in, you're going to develop a reputation. And this is what I do not want from my fellow foreigner men, right? I don't want you guys to develop the reputation of being the chick's boy, which in the Philippines is like a playboy, or a guy that has a lot of girls, or a guy that tries to sleep with a lot of girls, or, you know, whatever your sexual orientation is. I don't want you to develop that particular talking point about yourselves, because that's kind of a stench and a stigma that you can't get off of you unless you move to a completely different area. Because you have to understand, communication, they call it, what is it, the bamboo line or some shit like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I've been out of country for a long period of time, but there's this thing where the chismes and the conversations about you as a foreigner. Oh, you know, he tried to sleep with my friend, or he tried to sleep with my cousin. The word gonna get around about you, and if you ever find yourself trying to actually talk to somebody, you don't think that the word gonna get around to that said person and say, oh, you know, you don't want to talk to him, you don't want to deal with him, he's just out here trying to sleep with a bunch of girls, he tried to talk to my cousin, and whether that in the United States or in, you know, sometimes that goes in one ear and out the other, depending on how bad a young lady wants to mess with you. That particular young lady in the Philippines or overseas may really want to rock with you, or really want to vibe with you and see what you're about. But because of everything that was said about you, that will clearly negate any type of chance you actually have. And there's nothing worse than when you're already out of the game before the game even started, right? It's like DMP, you did not play, right? Let's say you're on the DMP list, or you're on the bench, and you don't even get a chance to play in the game because, you know, the word's out about you. And I do believe that who you choose to talk to and hit with the direct approach can severely ruin your chances with other girls in the country if you choose to go that route, you know? Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you have to go into foreign countries looking for relationships and stuff like that. Some guys just want to have fun, and that's perfectly fine, but there is a way to go about it. There's a particular decorum that I think most men, if not all men, should follow, because I've seen the good side and the bad side of it, right? Luckily for me, Marcus was my buffer. Shout out to the big homie Marcus. Y'all know Marcus. That was a unique situation, right? A unique personality. It was different. But when push came to shove, even though this was a person that was representative of myself, but not representative of me, said person, Marcus, handled himself with a level of respect, and he still continued along the games to keep the pristine image of yours truly, the good Dr. Mike TV, in good standing. He made sure to not allow me to be a casualty of his fucking nonsense. And I know it's like talking about myself in the second person, but again, you know, that's just kind of how I think of it. It was somebody that was completely different before the good doc found the wife, and you know, trying to change his ways and whatnot. But the direct approach, ladies and gentlemen, you got to be careful about how you choose to go about that one, because yes, in theory, it does allow you to filter through and cycle through young ladies that are game and that are not game for getting down, right? But ultimately, we're in a place like the Western world, it's not really something they really think about twice. If, oh, you try to sleep with somebody, homegirl or some shit, she be like, oh, you know, you try to fuck me with da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, she be like, oh, word. It kind of doesn't matter, because it's kind of like, quote unquote, I don't want to say it's the norm, but it's unfortunate that don't really bother them. Like, yeah, you might have tried to talk to my homegirl, but still I rock with you, right? In the Philippines, it don't work that way. In most places abroad, I assume it's not likely going to work that way, right? I mean, of course, unless you're dealing with a particular group of young ladies that don't mind, you know, the liberation of, you know, being liberated and being outspoken and being free and stuff like that. And you're likely going to find that with your party girls and, you know, the young ladies that stay in the clubs and stuff like that. In that particular crowd, maybe that type of talk is okay. But if you're trying to prevent yourself from creating a bad image and a bad reputation, a bad name for yourself, we might want to find creative ways to be direct. Like I said before, an invite back to your spot is a clear indicator. I think that's a universal indicator. Like I said, some might play dumb, but it's truly a an indicator that you try to get yours, right? You try to get your rocks off, right? And if she does come back, chances are, you know, she game for it too. It's kind of like saying it without saying it, you know? It's still direct. It's like, look, I want you to come back with me. I want to hang out with you, spend some time with you. And like I said, if a girl is comfortable enough to go back to your spot and shit, you know, depending on how the conversation is, you know, you got to be able to read the room. I'm not telling you just invite them back and figure it out, because, you know, you got to make sure you're dealing with the right type and nobody's going to try to take advantage of you, try to rob you type shit. You know, you got to make sure you talking to is real. But ultimately, that's a true indicator that, hey, she might be game for a little bit more than just, you know, lame brain conversation. And, you know, this video could go a lot deeper, but I just wanted to talk about how we can avoid looking like asses as foreign men in the country by avoiding coming up with this, do you want to fuck or not? Or do you want to smash or not? And it's very rare that guys come out with this particular type of energy, but I've seen and I've heard about a lot of guys who just come straight to the point. And it's detrimental to your reputation and the reputation of those that come after you. And I'm just trying to clean it up a little bit. One video at a time. We're going to try to clean this community up. One video at a time, man. This has been my time, effort, and energy, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a good doc. Y'all know what time it is, man. Time for a good doc to go and get to getting. Y'all take care, man. Y'all stay blessed, man. Doc's on to the next one. Peace.